and welcome back to round 16 review of the sixes and sevens. Origin time of the year, so we're going to touch on that first up. I'm sorry my quality is a little bit out. I'm away with my beautiful wife in Queenstown, a little getaway without the kids. A 6-month anniversary, so I am sorry, but it is what it is. I'm over here in Queenstown, like I said, and it was a sad night sitting up late here. Obviously, 2 hours forward, so I watched the game over here and watched the New South Wales Blues come up with a loss. The Maroons, due.
I know.
The underdogs.
6 months
What
before
went
we go
on?
into that. 6 months, that's gone quick, bruh.
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months ago, your wedding. Feels like it was yesterday. That's how quick life goes. Congratulations, my
It's
friend.
crazy. Thank you, brother.
And I'm jealous.
That means your
Queenstown's one of my
baby's getting
favourite places.
closer.
What's that, mate?
That means the baby's getting closer.
It is. And Queenstown's one of my favourite places. So enjoy.
Oh, how good is it? I've been to Christchurch, played in Christchurch before, but never been over here to Queenstown, and I love it.
Just before we go into
One
Origin,
night, and I say I love it.
I played in Queenstown with the game with you. Was that the one when it, one of the
Is that in Queenstown?
the fullback, it was freezing cold and the fullbacks went smack around, who was it? Fullback for Warriors went around the goalpost.
Was that over here?
I was playing with you. I was with the Roosters.
Yeah, I remember playing over here. Yeah, was it Queenstown or Christchurch?
That was one of them. I just remember, who was it? Fullback
it was bucketing down rain. Kevin Locke.
Kevin Locke nearly broke his back. Remember that?
Yeah.
But yeah, Toddy, Queensland,
Graham.
disappointing night. You could almost see it coming. Obviously, we're not going to dive too much into the Billy Slater, Aaron Woods drama, but whenever these Queenslanders' backs are against the wall, we've been on the end of it millions of times. It's just, they're very good at it. As much as you don't want to admit it and give them the credit, they're very good at backs against the wall. I honestly didn't see this coming. I thought we were going to be too good. We were honest about all that in our pre-game talk about Origin, and I just honestly thought we were going to be too good. But what a game. 5 tries to 4 for New South Wales. Goal kicking's let us down again. Big part of it. We'll go into Nath Cleary soon, and that injury, which was kept under heavy wraps. I'm not sure if you heard it. Was only just talking to Gabe about it. I think everyone was shocked. Listening to the commentary, Cameron Smith and Joey were obviously surprised. So there was no rumours coming out of captain's run or anything like that, as far as we're all concerned, with Nath. But obviously it was heavily strapped, or he had one of those white quad guard things on his leg, the skins. So, yeah, clearly he's done something in captain's run. And
do you think it's come out of captain's run, or because listening to the commentary, Joey said that he kicked for half an hour to an hour after captain's run. Do you reckon it happened in warm-up maybe?
Maybe. Because you think they would have, I don't know, if it happens in captain's run, do you
stuff like that normally comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've kept under wraps, and I don't believe they would bring someone else in, but it did hamper his game.
It hampered the whole game,
Obviously,
I reckon.
He didn't kick a lot, which they're known for. Jerome Luai's first kick obviously went out in the full. I don't know if that was the reason why he didn't goal kick, because
100% it was.
If I was a goal kicker to his caliber, I would not give my job up. Obviously, Lomax is a great kicker himself, but on the night wasn't great, and obviously that's what was the different ones is the night would come down to scoreboard. But
we've done Hemi's, Toddy. Just to go into that for the viewers, like I did it my last ever game.
Is it Hemi or quad butt?
Well, whatever it is on that kicking leg.
I don't think it's quad. I don't think it's Hemi.
You reckon it was quad?
Yeah, I think it's a high quad strain, or I don't think you can't.
You couldn't run with a Hemi.
Nah, you wouldn't be able to. I don't think you'd risk a hamstring. Even quad's harder. Is just as hard, but obviously there's a lot of talking points out of the game last night. Obviously, there's heaps to talk about. Obviously, as you just mentioned, the lead up to the game. Obviously, it took away the hype of the players. Talking about players, was talking a lot about obviously what Aaron Woods and Billy Slater have said. I don't really need to get into. I think it's been dead and buried. Obviously, the way it was portrayed and brought into, both pros probably just need to apologise, and not so much apologise, but just let's get on from it. It's shit talk. It doesn't do anything. All it does is bring up old wounds for Queensland and obviously the great Paul Green's family, which was put dead to buried, and I think that's where it should be left. Heaps of other talking points. 10-2 penalty count. Obviously, Cleary's leg. Well, they saw old man Capewell was unbelievable in the back row. They brought him in to do a job, and he done more than a job. I thought he was nearly just as good as Munster. Could have received man of match himself, but obviously that's a massive talking point. Munster, captain during the week, comes out and absolutely he puts on a masterclass. He was in everything. He took the ball on, he took the line on. He obviously played a lot of first receiver and was second fiddle to him. Um, what else is there? There's so much to unpack. Obviously, there's talk about Brian Toto not training all week, but then goes out and scores 3 tries.
The combo too,
Heaps,
Toddy.
heaps.
The combo as well. Obviously, the talking point around the halves, the Penrith spine. We've sort of seen that predictability at times in the past series. It was criticised. Mitch Moses steps in. Me and you sort of had a conversation about it in our pre-game about the pros and cons of Jerome instead of Mitch Moses, and I thought we saw the negative side on the weekend. I think 10-2 penalty count, lack of possession, and a shit kicking game is a hard place to play with any momentum. And to be honest, New South Wales scored more tries, so it didn't just come down to attack. But I felt like the whole puzzle, the wheels weren't as in good motion as far as the attack. It looked more clunky. As I said, that could come down to the penalty count. I think it was 8 or 9-0 at half time. If you haven't got the ball and you're on the back end of your halfback, who's the best halfback in the comp, who's not kicking how he usually does, it has a side effect. But I thought they were clunky. And there was a comment from Freddie at half time about Jerome, and I'm one of Jerome's biggest fans. I love him in big games, and I just thought Freddie's comments were interesting. He said that Jerome in this team has created a bit of frantic footy. I don't know. I think he's probably talking more about his personality. He likes getting in their face. It's a different style of temperament to Mitch. It's worked in the past, but it was an interesting comment from the great Brad Fittler at half time. He specifically said about Jerome. What's that?
You poke the bear.
Yeah,
they're poking it like he pokes the bear. Like he takes a header, and obviously he's got Latrell on that side of the field. I thought they were making it their own to obviously get under the Queensland players' skins, but also that gives them to obviously build confidence, and obviously gives them a chance to not play their own game. Also, too, if you're going out there to try and do niggle. Obviously, the scoreline in the end resembled that New South Wales come back and could have and probably should have won the game. It would have been one of the greatest come from behind victories in Origin history, but it wasn't. So now we go to decide to Sydney, which is what the stage is set for.
Do you think?
So I had Queensland fans messaging me last night, and I'm not one to fucking send people messages about after Origin stuff last night, but I just wrote back. The game's rigged. They just want the decider in Sydney to be a sellout. Mucking around, obviously.
But I believe that, Dottie. I want you to go into that because I said something to someone. I was watching the game myself, and I said that to someone today over here. That I said, I dead set reckon it's fucking rigged.
Penalty count. How can it be so lopsided? It can't be.
I don't know if it's consciously rigged, but they give the opposition that they want to win every opportunity. Like it then comes down to if New South Wales win and we kick better, we were the better side, but they gave Queensland every opportunity to win field possession. And the only chance Queensland were going to win this game on paper with both sides is if they won the penalty count. If it was a 3-3 penalty count, we win by 4 tries. We win by 4 tries. Yeah. I've got no doubt about it. And Queensland earned the right there. I thought their defence was more physical. No doubt they played a way better style of footy than they did in game 1. But we were well below par and we still scored more tries. And we're on the back of 9-0 penalty count in the first half. Like, how do you get out of your own end? It's near impossible. So it's actually quite a miracle that we got more tries with that lack of that's been on that end of the penalty count so badly. When you think about it, there wouldn't have been that many teams in history of the game to do that.
Obviously, a little bit of a few different topics, obviously, with what Freddie said at halftime about they become when Luai and team become different that way, and then listen to Gus speak about talking about obviously the kickoff to Spencer Lenu, things like that, saying that New South Wales are playing very individual. They're all individuals that are, like it's not suiting their game by going after someone, or like they're playing to their own needs, not to a team structure. Because of like Spencer comes on flying out of the line, first time it's okay hit, but then second time Lindsay Collin bumps him off. Like their momentum swings because they're quicker play the balls. I thought Dearden was held his own really well. I thought he kicked well when he needed to, took the line on. Obviously, it helps when your other half Munster was just taking the reins and playing good footy. But also Harry Grant, some special plays obviously to put Munster over, but controlled the ruck really well. Chose when to pass out the back, chose when to hit short when he had momentum. Looked very Melbourne Storm like in some parts of that game. Obviously because they've got him and Munster together, but I thought Dearden complemented that really well. KP was obviously solid. Come up some good runs, some calculated plays.
I thought
A few
KP was really
errors.
good. I thought he was.
I thought he was really good too. But obviously I can hear there's obviously now you can like anything when the game's on the line and there's speculation, it could have went either way. If New South Wales to clinch that win yesterday, KP's probably more on the chopping block than what people are saying. There's obviously I don't believe it, but there's speculation this morning that KP could be dropped for game 3 because of his errors. But that's just from other people talking. It's opinions. That's what we're here to talk about. I don't believe it will happen. I guess it's one thing I want to talk to you about, Mitch, is where does New South Wales go? Because as we both know, if it's hamstring, quad, upper leg strain, we're not sure what it is, but it will come out this week. It was kept very quiet before the game. If New South Wales will lose Nathan Cleary, which is a possibility because he's not playing this weekend because they can't get to their game in time from New Zealand to Perth to play the Warriors. So he'll miss this weekend. He would have missed it anyway. But if he is out for game 3, who do you pick?
Fuck. I'm just I knew that question was coming as you were building into it, and I'm in my head sitting there thinking,
Does Katoa get picked? That's what I want to ask.
imagine that.
Ho, 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 ho.
That's a good. Hey, you've created a good storyline there. It's worth talking about, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's every possibility.
Well, it has to be talked about because they can't go in.
That's huge.
He can't go into the next game underdone.
Alternative would be Luai and Burton, wouldn't it? Would that be the...
No,
I don't think we get beat if it's. I think if those two play,
shows that I think if they go with Luai Burton, they won't go with Luai Burton because if they're going to go with Luai Burton, they would have went with Burton at 6 with
Nathan.
because they need a 7. It showed last night they need a controlling 7 to take the pressure off Luai or to take the pressure out of the game of kicking. Kicking was a big part of. Latrell Mitchell kicked more long kicks than anyone in any of our halves.
in saying that about Nath, just that we obviously his biggest fans. I thought even though he was off and you could tell he was playing wounded and he couldn't kick, I was feeling a Penrith Broncos rematch. The back end of the game, he was the one probing. Like he obviously got that try disallowed. He had his hand in everything.
But a few times, he had his hand there. Like he still got around the park really well. So whatever it was just hampering him to kick. He just couldn't kick properly.
But his whole game comes off that, doesn't it? As we know, so it did stifle him, and he come up with that kick out on the full as well. It was uncharacteristic. There was a kick in the first half.
Shanked his first kick ever.
Yeah, he shanked it. He looked like he had no confidence in it. And as I was going to say before, we've both played with groins or hammies, and I played the grand final over here with one. And it takes away, in big games against good D, you try and manage it, but you can't. Because as a kicker, your whole game revolves around that game management, doesn't it? So it does have a side effect. But yeah, I just thought, even in saying all that, he still did everything he could at the back end to get us back involved. I thought he was good under the circumstances. He's going to cop a lot of criticism because he probably wasn't at his brilliant best. I had someone text me today, about, but he's not up to Origin level. You know what people are like. Just some random on Instagram. I was fucking right back, fucking delete. They're off their
Can you
heads.
circle back to that halfback question? Who do you think Katoa gets picked, or who do you think? Obviously, assuming Nate's injured and out. That's a great question. Is it
But
Katoa?
we don't know. We don't know if he's out.
It has to
or
be
if he will
Katoa,
be or
maybe.
what.
Who else is there?
Yeah.
Well, there's players
Adam
who've been there
Reynolds?
before. Oh, obviously Adam
Could be
Reynolds.
Renner.
Yeah,
Luke Metcalf.
I reckon Katoa.
Who else?
Katoa getting
It would
picked
have
would
to
be
be-
great. It'd be
It'd have to be
entertaining.
him.
Yeah. It'd be a great storyline. Imagine he comes out and kills it.
Could be Katoa.
Boys, also just on the back of take you back to the first try, for me, I don't know. It felt like it felt extremely soft. New South Wales first try, and there was almost no emotion for me in the game when that happened. I was like, oh yeah, we're just gonna roll them, and it's just gonna happen the way everyone thought it did. Did you just feel the same way when off
I
that
thought
first
both
try?
teams' first tries were easy.
Yeah.
Well, not easy, but they were orchestrated really well. Obviously, the Queensland try, because obviously that was the surprise early. They bounced back straight away. It was just a very, not simple, but they went in untouched. The space become real easy for them down that right side. Obviously, well executed play. I knew they would go down that side where Luai and Latrell Mitchell were to try and score their points. It worked then.
Couple of nice
I
kicks from
thought-
Jerome, eh? A couple of grubbers there.
Yeah,
That last one was beautiful.
I still believe, like, the end of the day, like, if the goal kicking's on, we win the game. We're not sitting here having the discussion, but you can't always put it back to goal kicking. The game was taken away from us in the first half. 26-6 at halftime it was.
Yep.
So it was, the game was taken away from us, obviously won by Queensland's performance, the way they played. But I'm not going to just sit and continue to harp on it, but it has to be said, an 8-0 penalty count in Origin, you know well more than me that's a leg up. And I'm not going to be that sore loser, but if it was on the other shoe, was on the other foot, they would be saying the same thing, and it'll be spoken about all week. But obviously, there's heaps of other talking points that's come out of it. Is that one, Queensland stood up. They took the game to New South Wales. I don't think they won the power game, but I thought they defended way better. They probably rolled some of their sets better, and they executed better in different times. I thought New South Wales could have probably got onto a better lead earlier on. One or two errors when they were attacking their line probably could have took them to 12-0 instead of 6-0. But just the last pass didn't stick.
What were the penalties for memory? I remember a few of them, but specifically, were they touch and go, or they're pretty obvious? There was a couple of high tackles. There was a Crichton high tackle I remember early.
Crichton high tackle, Luai.
Lomax's elbow was a bit, yeah.
That was obvious.
Lomax elbow, Luai eye gouge.
There was one offside, which I would have loved to have seen the replay of too.
I was just going to say, the offside ones get me every time.
Accidental offside.
That's when you start asking questions, the offside ones, because you could give fucking 20 offside penalties away in big games.
Yeah, they never show you. They call a penalty. It's like, well, show me when they were offside then. I'd love to see it, but yeah.
It's when they give them ones as well. Like you said, they could give more than they do. It's funny that always the team that's the underdog that they want sometimes get a few more offside penalties, but it's got the blue hat on today.
I think
we've always got our blue hat on. That's
Tino had his first bad game ever.
The stage is actually
Tino was
set
unreal
for Sydney in a couple of weeks.
Tino was unreal, you reckon? He dropped like 3 balls.
I thought Tino was all right physically.
But
I thought physically
the
he was
work
good.
he got through,
Got through heaps of work. Stats weren't great. I thought he was physical.
A lot of errors come from a lot of players in the teams that don't usually make errors. Payne has come up with a couple. Obviously, Tino a couple. It was one of those nights in the wet. I still thought they played some really good football with how wet it was.
I thought Dearden was outstanding, Toddy. Obviously, you're going to talk about Munster in a bit, but I thought Dearden, he obviously had the kick try. That play when he come and hit Capel's try when he come around and hit Kurt Mann. That was great footy.
Yeah.
Play for play. And we spoke about after game one criticism of him coming in. Cherry getting dropped, not getting the rest of the spine involved enough. And I thought Dearden did that. He played out of his sort of probably played a different style than he normally plays. Like he's playing the middle of the field a bit more than he probably does in that 6 role at the Cowboys, but then still had the confidence to pull himself out when he needed to. Exactly that play when he swung around to the left. Like he's not just stuck in a structure. I thought he was huge. And he's such a tough defender. There was a tackle he made back end of the game on Latrell when I think it was the last 5 minutes when we were chasing points. We had a couple of nice, when the game was still half a chance to, I think we were 2 points down. He had a big one-on-one tackle on Latrell. If you get a chance to watch back, it was a big moment. So his defense is fucking tough.
You can see that obviously over the years, DC, it's been his team. Obviously, the way they play, the structure they play, the setups they play. Obviously, he controlled a lot of the kicking game. So their structure was to how DC would probably, so when they would come into camp, they'd be like, oh, how do you think we should be playing? He would have a voice of a lot of their sets of what it would look like. But it looked like this time around, they've gone with, okay, they would have said to Harry Grant and Munster, let's bring this guy into what yous can do, what you think works, instead of having DCE calling the shots. They would have went, okay, Harry Grant, you're the middle, you got the first side of the ball, you touch the ball first. Munster, you take control now. We bring in Dearden. We know what he adds to a team when he's playing at the Cowboys. We know what he adds to a team when he's playing at 6. We also now know what he adds when he plays at 7. Let's put him into this group and make it as clear and make him as clear and confident as possible. Munster, you take control. Harry, you take control, and let him play on the back of it. And I thought that's what they done really well. He come up with big plays when he needed to, but he also sat back when he needed to. He didn't get in the road. He didn't want the ball in his hand because it was his first start in 7 Origin. He just let the game go to him and let Munster sort of get across the field, take a lot of the early kicking, a lot of the first receiver early. I thought Trent Liero done a pretty good job through the middle. And then once he needed to, he come up with plays. Like he was the last pass for their first try, or their first pass for their first try out the back, coming down the short side. Obviously, Munster was in other parts, but as you said, he went across to the left side of the field and was the last pass to Kurtman to Capewell. So I thought that he complemented their game really well, but also they complemented his game because they took away all the other stresses that he would have been worried about, i.e. kicking, how am I going to get around the park? It's my first start at 7. They took that away and done it for him and let him fall into place.
I love the way you put that, sort of fitting in around Cam Munster. Obviously, Cam Munster gets the captaincy. He was the leader. And yeah, he did. He fit into the puzzle nicely. I know what you mean. When Cherry's there, he was obviously took on that responsibility to be the shot caller, and it didn't work for him. So yeah, I thought it was good. And it's difficult to do that, to play a different style, and then also,
like I said, it was very Melbourne Storm-like. In some of their sets, you could put a purple jumper on them, and you would have looked like it was a Melbourne Storm.
Well, that's what works for Munster too, doesn't it? He's obviously probably had conversations and said, I want you to play what Jerome Hughes does for me at Melbourne. Just play this role, free me up. And that way it brings Munster into the game as well. But yeah, it did look like Melbourne. I thought KP was really good. I know he copped a bit of criticism. I thought defensively he organised the line really well. I was surprised when he got criticism after the game. I mean, he had a couple of errors, but watching the game live before any sort of feedback or media, I thought it was his most composed game for a while. Like, to me, whenever KP's played in Origin, he's looked a bit lost. He doesn't really fit it into the puzzle. And we spoke about that in game 2, after game 1. But I thought he was steady and good. And I like a KP in a big game like that when they win, when he's steady and good, not brilliant moments and then not really involved. I thought he was good. And I don't really understand.
I don't see how
the criticism.
He would be dry. I think they'd stick to the same team. They won the game, yes, it was close by the end, and goal kicking was the difference. But you get a game down in Sydney, game on the line. I'm sticking with KP, even if he comes up with a couple of errors.
What do you reckon, Toddy, about the centres? Obviously, every time our centres got the ball, they're lethal. You reckon it's the back of possession? I feel like, obviously, as halves, when you're in a game like that, it's hard to get your centres ball when you're coming off your own line off the back of a huge penalty count. Limited possession. When they got their opportunities, they found their set pieces, and Crichton and Latrell had their impacts. But, I mean, we didn't see much of a midfield, but I suppose it was off the back of
I think the weather,
penalty counts
the
and
weather
lack of
played a
possession.
part.
Yeah, weather too.
As we spoke about at game one, that they used their centres really well. Once they got away from that sort of roll through the middle, they just got to the edge really well, and they caused some damage. So I didn't think we've seen as much as that one because the weather. Two will be behind on the scoreboard, plus behind in with penalties. They were trying to probably just be safe, getting out of their own sets. They probably didn't have the rub of the green with momentum because their kicking game wasn't great. They were always receiving the ball from the back end. I just thought that it was a game of two halves. The way the second half rolled out for New South Wales, they were the better team because they got more opportunities. First half went to Queensland. In the end, the difference was the goal kicking. We can sit here and pull all different parts out from the game and go, okay, well, this is why they lost, this is why they won, or why they could have won, blah, blah, blah. But I don't believe you can't get an 8-2 penalty count game 3.
No.
Yeah, so it'll go back to even pegging there. You won't get, hopefully, an injured Nathan Cleary or an underdone Nathan Cleary. His body won't be, hopefully. So hopefully we're going into game 3. Everyone's fit, fire, and the ref gives a little bit of
Plays fair.
Yeah, plays fair. Like it's that. I don't look. If you look over every game this year in Clubland, I don't think there's been as lopsided penalty count.
Not that. No way.
Not 10-2, 8-0 at half time.
There wouldn't have been many Origins that have had that penalty count in a big game. It's unheard of. But I think what you're saying, and I agree.
There was hardly any 6 against.
We shot ourselves in the foot more so than, and this is all respect to Queensland, they won. They were too good. But I feel like, as you said, we had uncharacteristic moments from all our big players. Our best player, our halfback, was injured, probably didn't have his best game. I feel like, yeah, Queensland beat us, but we almost beat ourselves, and that's the most disappointing thing. And going into game 3, fast forward in the tape, sometimes those losses when you've shot yourself in the foot, they're fucking so much harder to get over than just being beat off the park. You know, you hold on to a lot more for a few more days when you've shot yourself in the foot. You scratch your head. Your review meetings are a bit more disgusting. It'll take a bit to get over this one. I got no doubt, you know, at home, as you just said, an even possession, even penalty count, refs on our side, still getting 5-4 tries in game 2 with everything going against us. Points aren't going to be a problem, but emotionally we need to get over it fast. It's going to be, there'll be a few blokes hurting for a few days, I reckon. All our best players,
100%.
Just the fact that it was one that was for me, it's the one that got away. It was a series that was the one it's a game that was the one that got away. There's no other way to beat around the bush. It was there for us, and it came down to individuals.
Do we take confidence out of it?
I think you can take confidence, but it's also about how do you brush it emotionally in a short period of time, because it'd be a bit of embarrassment. I think our best players not playing their best footy and knowing that they're underdone a bit is sometimes takes a little bit longer to get over, more so than getting flogged off the park because the opposition were better than you.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where we've got to also obviously put at the end of the day, Queensland, they've got to give them credit. They were better on the day. They won that game because what they done with their opportunities early in that game for the first half. But they defended their backsides off for the last 5 minutes. They had 4 or 5 sets where they could have broke, but they didn't. So they held on to win. And I'm with you. I think if the scoreline stays 28-6 and then that's how it's finished, you can sort of look at it and go, okay, well, that was the difference in the game. The penalty count, Queensland were just better. They got the job done. But because it was 26, they won by 2. Now it's like, oh, we were so close. They'll talk about the goal kicking. They'll talk about different areas, and it's like, oh, okay, we let this one slip. Now we've got it. Now all the pressure's back on us, and it is. The pressure's back on New South Wales.
So-
Going into this game, Queensland were the underdogs, and I'm not saying that New South Wales are going to be the favourites and Queensland will be massive underdogs going into New South Wales, but the pressure is now back on us.
Do you think it was complacency going into the game? Like when you have a first half like that where you're not in the right flow, your errors are more than expected. I think it was both teams had a lot of errors early. Wet conditions, all those things play their part. But the eye of the tiger, we always say that phrase. To me, we didn't have eye of the tiger in that first half. Was there a small bit of complacency going into this game? Was there a small bit of fuck? If we're on here, we're better than them.
The first try come through. If the first try was done, so they got their first try early. So it's like maybe here we go.
That's what I reckon.
A couple of errors, then all of a sudden Queensland score, and then that lopsided penalty count.
We kicked the ball out in the first set
hit,
on the full.
Yeah, kicked it out in the full, yeah, and then Queensland complete that next set, and then New South Wales go down and score the next set. I'm pretty sure, or in between a few through swaps and changes in attack and D, but I thought we were on top early, even with the errors, and then all of a sudden, the bloke in the middle decided to pull a lopsided penalty count.
The old piggyback.
Old piggyback. We can't sit here and whinge about that either because it's an easy talking point to whinge about. At the end of the day, we've spoken about different parts. Massive part of was Nathan was underdone or was injured. The goal kicking, which has been an issue from game 1 to game 2, which is hard to say because in Clubland they're both really good. Valentine Holmes kicked 6 from 6.
That was a weird change, eh? Hammer
5 from 5,
Hammer and Valentine changing positions. Hammer went onto the wing.
Yeah, I just think it gives them a better look. Defensively,
Hammer
probably
walked over for a couple, so yeah.
Got the three.
It worked.
The thing is, while there's a big difference to defending at wing to centre, and also in bigger games, also one plays centre for club, one plays fullback for club. So he's used to bringing the ball back. So at wing, you bring the ball back just as much as you do fullback. Yes, you got to make probably different decisions at wing to what you would obviously do at fullback because you're in the second line defence. But at centre, you've got completely different job. So I reckon they went with Val Holmes back in the centres because he plays it at Clubland. And I thought it was a smart move.
Who comes in for us game 3? Do you reckon there's any chances? I'm going to throw a little one out. Just the situation of the game on the weekend, and I think Max King did a great job in game 1. And I don't know the situation where it's at with a Terrell May, but geez, someone like a Terrell May would have made a difference in a game like last night. Like, I mean, Max King did a great job in game 1 when the rest of the whole crew, all your elite middles, I'm not saying Max King's not, but your Payne Hasses and your Crichtons and your, Spencer Leonard, all these guys are setting a benchmark. Max King plays a great support role. When the possession's not going your way, and I know any middle can struggle in those situations, but geez, I'd love a Terrell May or an Ola Kawatu. I think he was injured on the weekend for Manly after
he's injured.
Yeah, it won't be him.
But I'm giving an example. Terrell May for me. Is he a chance of getting looked at for the next game? Because I mean, someone that's got a bit of an ability to break the game open, an offload, late footwork. For me, if the game's not reffed properly and your possession isn't, middle's rolling over the advantage line, a Terrell May for me off the bench breaks that game open. I'm not saying that Max King lost us the game by any means. I'm just saying sometimes these decisions get highlighted a little bit more when the game doesn't go your way. It's just a thought. Because he's almost been forgotten, Terrell. And it doesn't have to be. I'm biased. I like Terrell. I like the family. But I just think we've had heaps of talk about it. A Terrell May last night, for me, gives us more footy off the bench than a Max King.
So you reckon they make changes?
Something. Just some bigger body with an offload, late footwork, a big athletic person for me in those type of situations is more effective.
Do you think they make changes, Mark? Is the pressure going to be on Laurie to make changes? That's the question.
If you were making a change, you'd make potentially one like that. I don't think they will go with Terrell, but maybe something like that I don't think would make a difference whether I think it would only be a positive if it happened. But if they stick with the same team, I don't think anyone will be surprised. The big one's obviously Nathan. If Nathan's injured, geez, I'll tell you what, it's a good storyline. Young Katoa, imagine the build-up. Imagine the build-up.
It'll come out this week what his injury is and how bad it is and what happened. But on the top of my head and the informed players, obviously, I don't think if they were going to go with a new incumbent, the debutant would be Katoa. Someone that's been there before, obviously Renault's been there before, but you'd look to the future, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting build-up. The thing was, Nath kicked a fair bit in the second half. Like when he put the foot to the pedal and knew he had to get the boys over the line, his touches increased and he actually kicked a bit. But as we know, once you're warmed up and everything and your life depends on the result, sometimes pain goes out the window. He's obviously gone in with a strategy early to manage it so he could get through the game, and then he's obviously thrown that strategy out the window when he had to use his leg to try and get a result. If it was that fucked, you wouldn't be able to kick. So, as you said, there's obviously some type of twinge there. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I didn't believe I'd be sitting here this morning talking about Queensland winning.
No.
No.
Did you?
No, well, mate, no way. That's what I said. I think we shot ourselves in the foot. I think the boys would be hurting. Just the one that got away. Everyone would be thinking about moments that they'd like again. Moments that were better than what they showed. And we've all been in those situations. We've been in it in Origin and club level, and they hurt. They hurt when you know that it was the one that got away.
Boys, you've been pretty, I guess, humble in some regards when you said Queensland were the better team and they won. Do you believe Queensland were the better team? Because I don't, and I'm biased as they come.
I think they were the better team on the night.
I think it's wrong to say they were the better team.
They were the better team on the night.
Okay,
they played the conditions better. They're not a better side.
The way I'll put it is that if we can talk about it, and I touched on it a little bit, was that Queensland were better in the first half. New South Wales were better in the second half. The scoreline resembles the Queensland were the better team because they won.
Yeah.
They took their opportunities better than what New South Wales took their opportunities better. There's no clear cut who was the better team because it was so close. If the scoreline finished that the Queensland end up winning the game 26-6, okay, you walk away and go, well, there's a definitive yes, Queensland were the way better team. New South Wales done enough in the second half to win the game 2 times over, but goal kicking let them down. So if we're talking about being biased or not biased, well, Queensland were the better team because they scored more points than New South Wales, that's the beauty of the scoreboard is and how there's a winner.
Yeah, you're going to score more.
Was a draw.
You're going to score more points, get more opportunities when you get into the run of the play with the refs. Let's be honest.
So do you think that's what I'm saying? Whoever wins is the better team.
Opportunities to do that.
No, they
took the opportunities 100%. To do that.
I thought they played good.
At the end of the day, we can say yes, the ref gave a 10-2 penalty count, but then you've got to go out and do something with those penalties.
You're not wrong. Of course you're not wrong, but as you say, I just think getting those penalties and, do you think the better team always wins? Is that how you chalk it up to? Whoever scores the most points is the better team? I get that they're the winner. Of course they're the winner. But
that's the way it's judged. That's the way it's judged.
Yeah.
I think what do they say in Origin? If you win field position, you hold the ball more. If your possession's up, if your ball control's up near 80 to 90%, and you have more field position, you usually win. Well, they earned it, and they earned that, and they got it gifted from the refs the way it was refed, and that's nothing against Queensland, and they capitalised on that. But game 1, we won field position, we completed better than them, and we kicked better. Last night they did the opposite. They did that. So
in the first half.
In the first half, so and that was enough for him to win the game. So they were too good. But it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, it'll create some stir and some serious pressure on Ashley Klein if Game 3 comes out and we win a penalty count by 5+. Like there's almost a conspiracy going on, and there's going to be some serious investigations.
Does the ref keep his job?
Well, it'd be bigger than just even the ref keeping his job. It's going to be some serious conversation around what conversations going behind the scenes. But I don't know. Can we get breach notices on this podcast for just pizzling referees?
No.
We would have lost 100K in about half an hour. We've just fucking hammered him.
We've lost more than that in our careers.
True. Got that on one poodle.
You got to find that for root in one poodle.
Yeah. He's done that drinking your own piss. It's perfect.
There we go. 1 for 1.
But I'll tell you what.
Quick one before you.
Credit to Queensland. I thought, as much as we hate saying it, they do handle adversity well. And this is a weird thing to say. And I think it was raw, but do you think the emotion from Billy Slater, and he's a smart man and a smart winner, do you think the emotion shown at the press conference was almost a little knowing, just poking the bear to his team?
Calculated.
I don't think it was calculated. I think it was come across quite genuine, and he did look hurt. But everyone's talk is Billy was so emotional, and is that Billy playing the game a little bit, knowing the Queensland spirit, as they say? I don't know. Just something out there, just throwing it out there. And if it is, full credit to him. Gus Gould's done it for New South Wales before. The great coaches we've played under, and the great coaches in all sports, emotionally fucking get their teammates on, their players on. Was it a smart move from Billy Slater? Reverse the narrative.
Smart. Talking about big plays on the night. Our boys here at Hollow Sport that obviously look after us to get this 6s and 7s podcast up and running. Fucking,
they're on fire.
From the Taj Mahal with obviously getting Joey on last week, and then last night doing the pre-talk with Gus Gould. The boys are actually heard him before. Gus Gould, the bloke that does the pre-talk. Usually Rabbit Warren, but the boys last night, Tom and Eddie, stole the show. Well done, boys.
Well, I'm thinking, Toddy, maybe if the boys can get us on for Decider, I'll fly back and we can walk out with Gus. What do you reckon, Gabe?
Sit on Gus's shoulder.
Suits me, mate. Suits me.
We go to the press conference and then we can walk out with Gus and the boys. But there's just a little one for you.
The number 7 jumper.
What's your response? Yeah, exactly.
What a comeback.
Go out on a wheelchair. Hey, boys, what's your thoughts on the Billy Slater? Was there a bit, without going too deep into it, do you think it was a
100%.
method to the madness?
Well, there's always method to madness. You speak about method to madness all the time, and there's definitely a method to the madness of what went on.
Well, Munster did actually allude to it. He said we played for kind of Billy at the end there. He said something we kind of had to stand up for our coach, and we did. He said something along those lines. So, yeah, it probably did work, Mitch.
Well, yeah, great coaches do that, and there's no doubt Billy's a champion.
At the end of the day, the coach can say what they want. The ref can do what they want. The result was Queensland won, and they dug deep in the back end of the game, and Game 3 is the decider. The Game 2 is dead and buried because we've put the wrap on it. It's time to talk about what's going to happen in Game 3 in weeks to come and who will be there. And when that comes, we'll talk about it.
It's going to be a big game. I can't get, since the last 5 minutes we've been talking, my head's just stuck on Katoa. Isaiah Katoa in the New South Wales Blues jersey. I can't get it out of my head. I won't even sleep tonight because I'm seriously thinking about the storyline of Isaiah Katoa called up for Origin Decider. But hey, let's not wish death on our great mate, Nave Cleary. We need our man Nathan. He's one of the all-time greats, so let's hope it's nothing serious. I'm sure it's not. So get well, Nath, but imagine that storyline if it happens, Toddy.
We're talking about Katoa being a debutant. There's one bloke about to step in and take the shoes of the great Todd Carney. Gabe, the bull rider from Tamworth.
The bull rider.
Is about to take my shoes and take over because I do have to leave. Like I said, I am in Queenstown. I've got a busy schedule while I'm here, only here for a couple of days. So I do have to leave. Gabe will take over. But I will leave you with, because I'm still one up in the cheddar list. And that man you're talking about, Katoa, his Redcliffe Dolphins will lap Newcastle this weekend.
Stole mine.
That's my cheddar of the week. Okay, you want to take
Nah,
it?
you have it.
No, you have it. You have it. You have it. Because I know if they win this week and you're the one you pick loses, you'll be whinging. You've got that sob look on your face. I'll go the New Zealand Warriors over the Panthers as my cheddar.
Big
Nice.
call. Naif out.
Two
Yowie
favourites
out.
for the boys.
They might get rested, you reckon?
All right.
All right,
Footy nerds, I
brother.
love yous.
Kicking off the round 16 preview, we got the West Tigers coming up against the second on the ladder, Raiders. What do you reckon, Mitchy?
Yeah, I think the Raiders here. It's going to be a. I think it's going to be an easy win for the Raiders. Jerome Luai will be obviously depending on how he pulled up from Origin, whether he takes part for the Tigers. I just think Canberra. I think just it speaks for itself with Canberra. I think the form they're in. I just think they'll be too big, too strong for the Tigers in this one.
Yeah, it's hard to see the Tigers win against the red hot Raiders. They don't have anyone coming in from Origin, so Huddy Young. But if Huddy Young backs up, I don't think that's a make or break for him.
Yeah, I think he might even get rested.
Strong.
I think you'd think maybe potentially if he's got the obviously with the travel back from Perth, and the team's going quite well. You'd think Sticky might even give him a rest with the way that they're going. So, but yeah, I think Jerome will play. What's the Tigers on the ladder? How many points are they out of the 8 at the moment?
I'll get that one up for us, but I don't know. I'm not sure who plays. Does Dewey go into the halves for the Tigers if Luai doesn't play?
I reckon it'd be Dewey for sure.
Yeah.
Dewey would step up. I'd say Jerome would play. He looked pretty fresh after the game. Players always pride themselves on playing after an Origin. I mean, I used to love playing. I think we spoke about it on the show before, but 2 days after a game, after Origin's the perfect time to play. You're still on an adrenaline high all week for 10 days. Sorry, for the 10-day camp of being around all those elite players, your training standard's so much higher. And then the game itself, the intensity is so much higher. When you come back to club level, especially 2 days after, I used to love playing it. Everything's slow. You have so much time. You see heaps more space. And you're still in that 2-day recovery mode where your pain in your body hasn't sort of sunk in yet. The hardest time to play was 4 or 5 days after. Obviously,
that's when when it takes a toll on your body,
that's when it would cook you. You know, like 5 days was the Monday night footy. They don't do that anymore. But usually the Sunday game was a shocker. It was really hard. You had to emotionally get up to it, and then there was always a bit of a hangover the week after. But yeah, 2 days after, I think Jerome will be jumping out of his skin.
Yeah, and he'd probably come out with itching to get a victory. But then again, they're coming up against the Raiders, so it's a tough ask.
Yeah.
Tigers got 14 points, and then the Roosters, who are in the 8, only have 16. So it's not like the ladders. It's so crazy. It makes no sense, doesn't it? It's just such a tight knit comp this year.
It's good. It's what we've been waiting for ages. But I think we're tipping all these results again, Gabe. But we hardly ever get them right. So we'll wait and see.
Oh mate. Oh yeah. Just so the people listening, I'm probably a worse tipster than Mitch. I know you.
Fuck, mine are bad, brother.
You like to say you're bad. I'm there with you, brother. I'm shocking. I'm on my podcast. I'm a shit tipster.
As you said, though, it's good. It's good for the game. The unpredictability is what people have been talking about for so long, and I suppose the top 4 sides that we haven't seen too much change, really. But the fight for the 8 is. It's good for the spectacle, brother. The TV rights, the Fox Sports, the Channel 9s will be loving it.
Yeah, 100%. Where do you see, like, is it just kind of the Raiders roll them? Is it that do their backs just kind of have a field day? Where do they score their points, do you think, the Raiders?
I just think the Raiders will be too big, too strong. I think second phase that they play off will struggle. Will affect the Tigers. I think the Tigers' biggest weakness at times is their ruck, even though they've improved a bit this year to where they've been in the past. You know, we speak about it every week. We love the style of footy that they play with the ball. They ask a lot of questions of the defence, but I still feel like their ruck D really lets them down in big moments. And Canberra's got one of the best packs in the comp, and they get second phase better than most teams. So I think they'll play off the back of that, and then obviously Strange and Fogarty and their outside backs there will get off the back of it.
Let's go to Saturday's game, 21st of June. My birthday, just quietly.
Yes, bro.
Warriors coming up against the Panthers. Now Toddy's cheddar taking the Warriors. I don't mind that. I don't mind that pick. It's Warriors probably still favourites. Are they due for a loss, do you reckon?
No, I think his Warriors are a pretty good bet there this week. As I said, Nath would be unlikely to play. You wonder if they're going to rest a Yowie or Dylan Edwards.
Yeah, well, they don't have him in the team list yet. The 5'8" Blaze and 7 Brad Schneider.
Nath won't be playing. You'd think off the back of the way he had to carry that this game, and maybe Yowie will play the old captain's knock. Knowing how important this game is for his team.
He's not listed in the team list either.
Well, there you go. They might have been waiting for them to recover and come back and then name the team. Or do you have to name a team? If they're a chance of playing, they have to be named in the squad. Is that right?
I'm not sure, but yeah, Warriors aren't playing Cape well either. But they're listed as the outs, all the Origin boys, Edwards, Yo, Martin, Cleary. So...
It'll be a tough night.
They just decided they weren't playing.
Warriors, for me, they're on a roll. Metcalf, all the rest of them there are just, no Origin footy, fresh legs. Would have watched the game on Wednesday night. And obviously, like you just said, a few of the Origin boys out for Penrith. I think Warriors are going to have a field day, I think.
The Bash brothers facing up against each other. Fisher Harris and Leota. That'll be a good contest.
Yeah, big game for him. He'll be taking that personal, you'd think, Fish. And he's been so good for him. We spoke about that week to week. I suppose he was going under the radar a little bit at the start of the year, if you can say that about someone like that. It's probably the wrong way to put it. Absolute champion. But just doing what he does is probably more like it. A bit of an unsung hero.
It's easy to overlook forwards, especially as a casual.
Yeah. I just mean as in he was probably when someone's been that good for so long, you just expect it. So not taken for granted, but just doing what he does. And I feel like there wasn't as much talk last few weeks. I think the consistency that they're showing and the way that they're playing, he's now getting the same respect that he had when he was at Penrith, because it's just proofs in the pudding. He's a winner, and he's brought an edge to them that they didn't have last year. And it'd be all the stuff he's doing off the field. It's not just what he does on the field. It'll be all the stuff he does off the field. He's the out-and-out alpha there. Obviously, Mitch Barnett, co-captains. Mitch Barnett's just cut out of the same cloth. I'm a good mate of Mitch's. And, having them two in your change rooms in the game, before a game and at training, just lifts the intensity. You don't fuck with those boys, and that's what he's brought to this team. And he'll enjoy that challenge up against his old crew, and he'll be backing himself in this one, especially with those Origin boys out.
Yeah, that's right. And this game, Wade Egan returns, so that's another big in for the Warriors as well.
Yeah, Wade Egan. It was only 2 years ago Wade Egan was nearly their best player out of 9.
Yeah, he's a gun.
The year they had 2 years before, obviously had the down year last year. So much footy was coming off Wade Egan, and it's been similar this year, but he's an unsung hero in that team. I think obviously Metcalf's getting all the
100%.
compliments. Shan's at the back obviously does his thing. But I think the work that he does around the ruck is creating ruck speed for those guys to play off time after time. And, yeah, he's underestimated. I'm sure his teammates up there value him. There's nothing better than a 9 that can create space, and only that your teammates really value you because you see what work they do. And that's what he's doing up there. He's been outstanding. Is he Queenslander?
He may be. I'll check that one for us. But I wanted to say off the back of what you said about Fisher Harris when it just comes back to, what you expect from him. I just kind of want to circle that back to, obviously I heard the whispers of people think KP should get dropped. Do you think that expectation from Queensland, like people are, used to seeing X Factor Ponga, and like you said, you kind of prefer seeing Ponga in his more structured, straight and narrow, doing his job role. Do you think that expectation of where's the X Factor Ponga is where this conversation is coming from?
I can't put my finger on it because I obviously, just like everyone, I watched the game last night and I thought KB was good. Like, I was in my head watching the game, I thought, geez, KP was good. There was one play KP did when he ran the ball. It was a simple play. He darted his nose through, was the one that did, and swung around the short side, played short to Kurt Mann, then played to Capel, that try sequence. Yep. KP was the play the ball the one before that. There was a couple of other moments where he was the play the ball, where he dug his nose through with the great footwork that he's got, that something else was created off the back of it. And
quick play the ball.
For me, his teammates in video sessions will value that. I've played with KP, and as an ex-player, as an ex-halfback, that's the stuff I value. Yeah, KP going down the short side and throwing a beautiful cutout.
Especially as a half.
Well, you know that those moments are part of the sequence, and those moments are stuff that's creating the play after. And I just thought KP was in better positions than he's been in past Origins or what we see from him at Newcastle. And, you know, sometimes your first glance at the game, you know, you're watching the whole thing and I wasn't focusing just on KP. So there might have been some stuff that he did that I've sort of forgotten about. I know there was a couple of errors, you know, under high balls and that type of stuff. But, yeah, I thought he was really clean and he didn't overplay. I think the risk with KP sometimes, because he's so brilliant, and especially in a Newcastle system, he has to be the guy that comes up with something all the time. He can overplay KP. I like KP steady. I like KP just doing his job and organising and making the players around him better. And that's what I thought he did.
No, respect. Also, to answer the question, Wade Egan is New South Welshman, so he's not a Queenslander.
He could be next in line. We had a couple of injuries.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not a bad shout at all, I don't think.
Like tossing someone up when it's Origin time, Gabe.
Yeah. Oh, mate, I just we'll get off Origin quickly, but I think this Katoa chat is exciting. Obviously, everyone wants Nathan to be there, but the thought of him, mate, would you agree that in Clubland, who's been in better form, Katoa or Cleary? I don't know. In my opinion, it's probably Katoa.
Yeah,
form-wise.
I think, on form this past 8 weeks, 100%. Katoa's obviously been playing out of this world. They've been putting some massive scorelines on teams, 50-plus on several occasions. There's no doubt he's in a sweet spot. I don't want to talk about myself here, but in 2019, my debut in Origin, I actually came in as a decider in similar conditions.
Yep.
So, as I said, those days are gone, and it's not about pumping my own tyres, but I can resemble to this moment if it was to happen. 2019, I got called up. I think Brett Kamali or Craig Gower, the halves in the first 2 games. There was an injury. There was lots of talk. I was in good form. Roosters were up the top of the ladder, I think top 2, and I got my debut in the decider. We lost by a try with about 5 minutes to go. But yeah, so there's a little bit of history, and if it was to happen for Katoa, and Nath unfortunately was out, which God willing, I hope it's not. I want our best player to play, and I hope he's fine. But yeah, there you go. He could be a 19. How old is he? No, he's 21, isn't he? But it could be a similar story. Young half coming into a decider, which I can relate to, my friend.
Speaking of the man himself, we're going to your cheddar. Dolphins v. the Knights. Second Saturday game. Who do you think? Yeah,
Dolphins. Be interesting to see if KP backs up.
Yeah.
Whether they play him, you never know if there's maybe some twinges or small injuries or bruises coming out of the game. Knights are going to push for him to play. They need him to play. Obviously thought the Knights played really well last week. We spoke about their loss against the Roosters. They held the lead for about 65 minutes of that game. Fell short at the back end against a energetic Roosters team, but yeah, they were good. They need that same effort. They need the same grit that they played, and I'd like to see the Knights play well, the Knights young guys, Ethan Sharps, these type of guys playing the same style they do when KP comes back. Don't be overawed.
Fletcher Sharp.
Fletcher Sharp.
That's right.
I want to see him playing the same style that they play when KP's not there. And sometimes we see him go within themselves. KP's coming back from an origin. He's going to bring a heap of confidence. He's just won, but just play your own game, boys. Bring KP with you.
Do you kind of see, like, they need to let KP be a system player? Is that kind of what you're saying? Instead of just giving it to KP and say, work your magic, they need to give him options and let him play in a system?
No doubt they need a system, but the Knights would have a system there. Like every NRL team, you don't just rock up.
The system seems to be passing him the ball.
Well, yeah, it seems they're struggling to find flow or the right system is probably the best way to answer your question, because if we weren't talking about that, we'd be speaking about a team that's flying in attack, and without bringing it up, they're the bottom team in attack in the comp. So clearly the system is the wheels aren't flowing as well as they'd like. And yeah, I think the more KP can play his part in that and the others take more responsibility, he'd flourish, and I'm sure he'd want that. But yeah, we're not at the training session, so we don't know, where it's breaking down. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the 7 and, they brought Hastings in last week. Jack Cogger's always cops a fair bit of criticism, even though he's done a solid job. But yeah. Talking to the Knights this week, I just think the Dolphins will be too good. They're brutal in defence. They've got a great balance now with the ball. Katoa's in red hot form. I think Dolphins.
As you said that last week, Nicoreema's in great form.
Nicoreema's been huge. I think Nicoreema.
Yeah, he's going under the radar, isn't he?
He's been a good player, Nicoreema. He's been in plenty of systems now. He's been around. He's played for New Zealand. He's a good player. I've always loved watching him. I've always liked watching him play. I think he's a really steady NRL half, and he's found his niche this year outside Katoa. It suits his style. He doesn't get spoken about much, but I know we've been giving him a few raps on here, but he's been a big part of the puzzle.
When you're playing next to Katoa, obviously.
But he helps Katoa too.
Not that they should be.
He helps Katoa too. It goes both ways.
Definitely.
I mean, Katoa's helping him, but he's helping Katoa as well. There's a lot of stuff. Toddy talks about it all the time on here about, the 7 that plays on the ball plays with the tempo, but the guy that's outside him, he's the one that has to come up with that last pass, and it's hard to execute.
Making the right decisions.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that's impressed me with Nicoreema is he's always pushing in support. Whenever there's a half break, just watch this week and the next couple of weeks, if they're playing good footy, he's always there in support. He always pops up. If there's a kick that goes up and it's ricocheted, he's always the one that's there. Look out for it, footy nerds.
Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on it. They welcome back Dom Young. Obviously, they play the Roosters. Dom Young travels down. I guess just stays here after the game.
Oh, no. Fuck.
Oh, that would have been a weird one.
Be like a glove up there in Newey. I played with Dom Young up there. Great fella. He loved Newcastle. You might have a beer with him up there, Gabe.
Might have to.
But yeah, he's a good guy, Dommy, and he's had a good career. He's had a real good career. Since he's come in. He's obviously not sure exactly what happened there at the Chooks in the end or whatever, but I think Newcastle suits him. I think he enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think he was a bit of a defensive letdown at the Roosters. At least that was the chat.
There was a few moments in Dom's young career where he's probably not come up with the right end to the plays. There's a lot of times there. A couple of games I was at the game last year at the Roosters and watching them close. There was times when Dom would like to have again, especially on his execution on the end of shift plays and some defensive reads. And Roosters are pretty cutthroat with that sort of stuff. They have high standards. So maybe there was a mutual agreement that they're looking for someone else in that role. But he's got so much to offer, Dom. He's a really good player. He's obviously got great speed, and I think he's a player that, as I said, I think he loved living in Newcastle. I know that they love him up there, and I think he'll fit right back in. And he's a bit of a character. He's a bit of a fan favourite, and he'll enjoy it up there. They get behind their players at Newcastle.
Actually, this is a good one, and I'm not asking you shit on anybody here, but I would like your honesty. You say that the Roosters have high standards. How do the standards compare? Because you've played at both clubs.
Every NRL club has high standards. And
is there a difference between the Roosters and Newcastle?
Well, let's I think you can answer that yourself, Gabe. Like, I mean, Roosters have won. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The Roosters have won how many comps in the last 15 years?
Compared to the Knights, yeah.
How many finals and minor premiers have they won in that time? They've always had great rosters, but you asked me what the standards are different. Well, I think there's a fair bit of difference in the standards as far as performances.
Okay. That's great. If Knights are to win, what do they need to do? I reckon Dylan Lucas is probably the key to unlock the Knights, in my opinion. He's great.
Dylan Lucas is an unbelievable player, I think. He was there when I was there one year. Great guy. He come through as a centre. Played a fair bit of centre in the juniors. Local guy, local kid from Newcastle. And his footy's been outstanding. You can see him in a blue jersey, can't you? Like, it's one of those guys.
Definitely.
There'd be no doubt he'd be on the radar of say, Laurie Daly and all his crew there. And did he get called up into the squad?
No. Well, I didn't see it if he did. I don't think he did.
But, I think that his body type, he's got Origin written all over him. He was the standout player last week for the Knights in a beaten team. Obviously, had his couple of line breaks and had his hand in everything. Had that line break early, for the first try. And it was only a couple of weeks ago. He got the hat trick, didn't he, against Cowboys? I think it was running off Gamble.
It was, yeah.
So he's in good form. He's been the leader there, and I think I said it last week. If it was a player of the year for the Knights, if there was an awards night next week, he'd be the player of the year.
Rabbitohs versus the Storm. How do you see it playing now, Mitch?
Storm for me. I liked what I saw in the Rabbitohs last week. I know you'd be happy, big Rabbitohs fan. I thought the Bulldogs.
Well, it was still a loss, but it was a good performance in the end.
Bulldogs to be up 18-0 and blowing them off the park to then come back.
Showed some heart.
Yeah, some neat tries there from halfway. I thought Jack Whiten's inclusion coming back has been a big plus for them on that left edge. Alex Johnson. They got strike all across the park. I'm waiting for South to pounce. If they're going to pounce, it's now. I just don't think
it's hard without Cody.
He's the one that just pulls it all together, isn't he? He's the
Yeah.
He's the link man that allows them to play the full field. Latrell bounces off his little mate. They vice versa. They bounce off each other. They bring each other in. They add an X factor to the South team that they don't have when he's there, or they don't have the capacity to play that style of footy without him. I just think Melbourne will be too brutal in defence. Physically, I think they'll be too big, too strong. And then I think Munster will want to play coming off that performance I just spoke about. What day is the game on, Gabe?
This is a Saturday game as well, 7:35.
Yeah, Saturday game. So, I mean, yeah.
So, yeah.
3 days after,
3 days.
I reckon he'll want to play. I feel like I'm putting my money on Munster for man of the match. He's just come off. He'll be feeling like the absolute.
Coming out fucking firing.
Feeling like the king. Just literally dominated the Origin, and he'll want to go back and play well for his club team. And you think that for him, has he captained Melbourne before?
Money.
Yeah.
You'd think so, but I don't know.
I just think having that captaincy and then being able to deliver a win at that level. I mean, I don't think he's someone who needs a confidence boost, or he's done it time and time again. He is the king. But I mean, that week he must have got a lot out of it. Like to captain your country, captain your state. To captain your state and then get the result when the backs are against the wall, and the way he did it. I mean, for himself.
That isn't So
it must be such a confidence boost.
Storm.
He hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
To be able to have that performance in a must win, and as a captain, you just get so much confidence out of that. And then to be able to take that back to club team, it's only going to help everyone else. He's just in such a sweet spot, isn't he? He's one of our all-time great players, but I think he's off the drink. He's rebooted, like me and Toddy.
Yeah, which is no good. Yeah. Well, at least I think he's having a breather. I don't think he's fully sober, but
he's just breathing.
Yeah.
He's just detoxing. But yeah, whatever he's doing,
it's working, isn't it?
It's always whatever he's done's always worked. Who are we to tell him? But it all helps. He's clear.
Yeah.
He's just won another man of the match in Origin. Captain. He's a king. Munster. And I think he'll be the king again against on the weekend.
Lewis Dodd gets a run.
He's getting a run.
Yeah, well, because Cody's out, so
Halfback.
well, they got him. They got him listed as reserves. No, they got Humphreys as halfback, and then Lewis Dodd coming in at 6.
Yeah, good on him. I'm happy that he gets a start. Must have been a struggle all year, just sitting around not playing. How's he been going in reserve grade?
I'm not sure, mate. Yeah, not sure, but obviously, he's not doing enough to get the call up when when the team's healthy. But
yeah.
Where can Rabbitohs clinch this, Lydia, if they had to just get the ball to AJ?
I think Rabbitohs. I like the period they played after half time last week. I like the fact that they shifted the ball around midfield. I think they're going to have to ask questions in Melbourne. With Lewis Dodd playing there, I think he's going to get targeted defensively. So they're going to have to keep Melbourne to a low score if they're any chance of winning, which means their halves are going to have to aim up in defence, which is a big ask for Lewis Dodd. He hasn't had a heap of experience and he's not a huge body. So, yeah, I think first and foremost, physically, they've got to be good. They've got to match Melbourne, and that's a big part of their halves this weekend defensively. And then, yeah, play footy, ask questions around the midfield. You got to challenge Melbourne. Hitting up and kicking the corners is not going to be good enough this week.
Sunday game, Broncos v the Sharks. I think this could be a decent game.
I'm going to go Broncos.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just think Sharkies is so unpredictable, and every time I back the Sharks, I'm wrong. So I'm going to just take a punt this week, and I'm going to go for the Broncos. Because when the Broncos are at their best, we've seen what they're capable of. It was only a couple of weeks ago. Was it last week? When they blew... Who was it last week? Who did they play last week?
When they were playing in their black
jerseys, yeah.
Is that when you think?
Was it last week?
Yeah. I don't think that was last week. But, yeah, I remember that game they had.
They were outstanding in that. That's the footy we want to see from them. Every time they have these performances, from commentators to fans, you talk about, it's like everything's been forgotten and everyone goes, oh, look how good these guys are. This is the Broncos we love. And then it's downhill again. So let's hope they can recap that best form. Payne Haas, interesting if Payne backs up. Katoni Staggs, when he's on, they all follow him. Carrigan's obviously the big one as well. But if those two back up in the middle, Renault can steer the ship. I think that'll be too good for the Sharks. I just think Sharks, I just don't know. It's the same story last couple of years. We keep waiting for the Sharks to kick into gear and they just keep letting us down. So come on, Sharkies.
Yeah, do so. Well, with Trindle's where the points come from for the Sharks for me. His combination of, just making the right pass and unpredictability. Yeah, Trindle's one to watch, I think.
He's the main one, I think.
In terms of this game.
He's the main one. Obviously, last week got 2 tries. I feel like he's more of we keep saying it, he's the
dominant.
He's the dominant. He's the orchestrator. Nico's still, from week to week, he's struggling with confidence, Nico, and I keep hearing Nico speak in interviews after games. I think it was with Gal last week, and I've heard it throughout the year. And he's always talking about he wants to run the ball more. It's obviously a trigger for him is to run the ball. We saw last week he was very sideways, pass happy, and I like the chat. I like the fact that Nico, from an ex-half, it was a trigger for me to run the ball. It means that, what does run the ball mean to the footy nerds? It means you're thinking tough and you're thinking upstream footy, and everything else comes off the back of that. And I love the fact he talks about it and that he's trying to add that to his game. But I think from Nico, and I know that he'd want this, we need him to do it. We need him running the ball. We need him supporting. We need him playing really powerful upstream, which will open up everyone else. And that sends a message to your teammates as well. So if it clicks for Nico and when he's on, he's great. Hopefully he can find that balance in his game. But yeah, Trindle's the one they can rely on more at the moment, no doubt. He's the one that's kicking game wise and organisation. He's the main shot caller there for sure.
And he backs up as well. If there's a loose ball, he gets on it and stuff, and the in goal and all that. So
yeah, he could be an option for Origin. There's one for you.
Roosters versus the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going Roosters here. I just think they're on a roll at the moment. Cowboys, another one Origin did and backing up. I'm sure he'll relish in playing for his team. They obviously had a bad loss last week. They were really poor against obviously all their players out, but he'll want to get back and bring that confidence from Origin to his team. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he backs up. But I just think the Roosters, they look fast and powerful at the moment, young and free. Probably the best way to put it. Powerful and strong and young and free. Like Hugo, Savala, you can name them all. But for me, he's leading the way. His kicking game, his support play, I just love what he's been bringing to this team. And he resembles all the rest of them. Siwa Wong's been huge for him. Teddy's just been, for a guy that just everyone, I wouldn't say writes off, but he's getting to that age now where, he's out of rep footy and they sort of just expect Teddy to just, I don't know, age a little.
And he just doesn't.
Maybe age a bit.
But
on form, he's just one of the best players in the comp still and been huge. He's been the architect of their rebound from the slow start to the year. And yeah, I think the Roosters will be too good this week.
Our final game of round 16, the bloody spoon bowl at this rate, Parramatta versus the Titans.
I'm going to go Titans in this one.
Yeah, I reckon so too.
Coming off last week, Kieran Foran had a great game last week, had his hand in everything. He relishes in this stuff. It's his old club. He's had a few of them, Foz, but he enjoys getting up for challenges. That's one thing with Kieran. He finds a fight and a reason to play week in, week out. He's always looking for a challenge. It's an old club of his. He'll want to go back-to-back with this group that's been getting criticised from pillar to post, and rightly so. So I'm looking forward to watching, firstly, Kieran and the way he constructs the game. I hope he puts on a masterclass. He brings Brimson and Campbell into the game off the back of him. I think if he does that, they'll be too good for Para. Mitch Moses out. They don't have that. They don't have a Kieran Foran this week, and I think
they're lost without Moses. I don't know what this team can do without him. Happy to be proven wrong, but
they played all right footy a couple of weeks ago without him, but they're not the same team. And it's. I feel like Para,
especially if Lomax doesn't back up, they're done for.
Para's from where they started at the start of the year, where there was nothing really going for them. Without being too harsh, they didn't have much going for them at all in the games that they were playing. Probably for the first 6 rounds, I think they've done an all right job to sort of at least give their fans a bit of hope. Their younger boys, Ione at the back there, and that have sort of given the fans some hope. There's some glimpses of their footy, but they're not going to play finals footy this year. And I think there's hope for them next year if they can get a couple of players on board and their younger guys develop. But as you said, battle of the spoon. But I think the Titans, led by Kieran Foran, will be too good.
Yeah, well, neither of their starting halves. Brown's out as well, so their halves are Dean Hawkins and Joash Papali'i or Papali. It's hard to see him finding a win in my books. And like you said, that old head, that composure from Foz, he knows what he's doing and can hopefully find a win over the team just second last.
Be a good one. It's actually sometimes these ones are good to watch, aren't they?
It'll be interesting. Hopefully a lot of points.
Yeah. No, mate, the Titans are good last week.
Yeah, but
that was another one we wrote off. We were dead set. We had them getting smoked by Manly, and then that was.
To be fair, who didn't? You can't pick those ones.
Seabolt's under pressure now. I'm seeing. Is that right at Manly? There, just a little change of subject. I read something yesterday. They're saying Siebes is now under pressure.
Yeah, right. Well, that was the other yarn, wasn't it? Did you hear about these 7-minute meetings?
No.
That he had with each of the players. So yeah, apparently Seabolt's had a 7-minute meeting with each of the players at Manly, and it didn't go over well with a couple of the boys. So a few of them will be playing reserve grade. I can't remember who the other one was, but notably Saab is reportedly going to be getting dropped too. Which I don't know.
The ups and downs of rugby league, Gabe. Jesus, it's a lonely place, rugby league, when you lose. It's like it's a cest of gossip and negativity, rugby league places, when you're losing, isn't it?
Well, you know better than most, mate. Like, especially the press that comes out.
Or from the media, from pressure on coaches and players, especially when it's repeated.
Do you wonder how it gets out, this stuff? Like, especially you've been in it. Do you just go, how do people even know about this stuff?
No, it's not a secret, is it? Everyone has people they talk to, and more so in the staff, I think, or back end people. It's not hard to put two and two together now. Everything's so connected in this game. There's so many people that are mutual friends. One club players, but they spoke about back in the 70s and 80s where, Balmain was Balmain and Manly was Manly. You wouldn't add any snitches, I don't think. You'd probably get crucified. You get fridge put around your ankle and dropped out in the harbour from your teammates if you turned on your own club. But nowadays, it's just players going to other clubs. Managers have got 1 million players from every team. Coaches are all friends and know this guy and that guy. Most of them have been at different clubs. So, mate, media runs the game, and the more money that gets invested in it, there's more people that talk. That's the way it is now, isn't it? Unfortunately,
that's right.
It's not a great environment sometimes, I don't think, for players, especially. It could, as I said, it could become a bit of a cesspit. It can become a very negative environment when you're losing. But that's the game we play. And, I mean, it's a good game to be a part of, Gabe. There's plenty of positives. You just got to win, my friend.
It's easy when you're winning.
Just got to win, brother. Well, 6 and 7s. We lost Toddy early. Origin, congratulations to Queensland, although I hate saying that. I know. Too good on the night. Refs suspect. Injuries to some of our key players. But, yeah, Queensland too good. Big round of footy coming up this week. My cheddar, the Dolphins. I know they're going to get home, and I'm going to get another little win over my mate Toddy. Shout out to Gabe for another good show, and we'll see you again on Monday. You!